Benjamin Lay Reconsidered, Abington Monthly Meeting, April 21st, 2018. Avis Wanda McClinton is an African-American Quaker, and this is her perspective of this event. She wants to give you a heartfelt thanks for coming to this historic event. It has been a long time coming. History is being made today by us witnessing the acknowledgement of Quaker Benjamin Lay's life work advocating for the freedom of Africans held in slavery. Today's dedication of Sarah and Benjamin's grave marker by this meeting that literally threw him out of their doors and removed him from membership causes us all, both descendants of slave owners and descendants of enslaved Africans, to come face to face with the harsh realities of slavery and America's exploitation of black people. Avis's life and Benjamin Lay's life have intersected. Benjamin got read out of meeting for his outspokenness against Quakers' buying and selling of human beings. Avis got written out of meeting for her insistence on finding the graves of these long-forgotten enslaved people who are interred in Quaker graveyards. A leading is something that a person feels that God called them to do. Benjamin and Avis both share a strong leading to obey God's will. Quakers today are dealing with racism in the religious society of Friends and how to eradicate it. You need to know this. The founders of this meeting were wealthy slave ship owners that Benjamin called Christian hypocrites and wicked spawns of Satan every chance he could, and rightly so. These Quakers walked into meeting houses built by the labor of these enslaved people and professed to see the light in everyone, but they didn't see the light in these African people. There is a gallery of photos of some of these families on the upper level of the meeting house. Avis went and looked at them. The magnitude of their actions long ago vibrates still today with the violence and terror against black people, such as racial profiling, mass incarceration, and inadequate schools, to name a few things that continue to oppress and hurt. The King of England gave William Penn's father Pennsylvania, property that he didn't even own because it belonged to the Indians. William Penn, a wealthy slaveholder himself, welcomed Quaker immigrants from England coming to Pennsylvania to escape religious persecution. These early Quakers went to Africa to capture and kidnap Avis's ancestors, depleting Africa of its most precious resource, its people. They brought them here to the New World, enslaving them and their descendants for life, and became wealthy off their unpaid labor. If Avis's ancestors had run faster in Africa, she would not be here today. It is time Benjamin Lay takes his rightful place in history as a righteous man. Well done, good and faithful servant. Benjamin Lay's legacy is an invitation to us to discern our way, to recognize the racism in our society, and find some sustainable ways to live together in a just society where everyone feels worthy. Avis strongly feels this must include reparations to African Americans for the centuries of unpaid labor our ancestors performed that enriched white Americans. Avis has total faith in God that we can find a peaceable way. Queries read at the event. What are the things in our own culture today that are like slavery in the 1730s? What practices and beliefs do we hold that future generations will someday look back and say, what were they thinking? Do we continue to look for the seeds of war, as John Woolman would have said? Do we continue to look for the seeds of war in our habits of living, in our possessions, and how we acquire them? Queries that lift up Benjamin Lay and John Woolman. Why do we emulate and refer to John Woolman, but not Benjamin Lay? Why do you think Benjamin Lay became invisible over time? Are there modern-day Benjamin Lays who we overlook, disregard, disdain, ridicule, or keep out of our meetings? Further reading. The Fearless Benjamin Lay, the Quaker Dwarf who became the first revolutionary abolitionist, by Marcus Rediker. Thanks to Liz Oppenheimer, Holly Olson, Marcus Rediker, Jeff Kissling.